Hersam Acorn Newspapers, publishers of the Greenwich Post, New Canaan Advertiser, the Darien Times, the Ridgefield Press, the Weston Forum, the Wilton Bulletin, the Reading Pilot, the Lewisboro Ledger, the Monroe Courier, the Eastern Courier, the Trumbull Times, Fairfield Sun, Shelton Herald, the Stratford Star, the Milford Mirror, and the Valley Gazette.
Hersam Acorn and HANradio.com. The leader in local news, sports, arts, and entertainment in southwestern Connecticut.
Welcome to Radio Arts and Leisure on HANradio.com. This is our weekly program featuring everything that is coming up in the area's music, arts, and entertainment scene. We will interview local artists, authors, musicians, and even some nationally recognized folks who may be performing here in our area. We will have movie reviews and film suggestions from our own real dad, Mark Schumann. No other news organization covers the arts and entertainment scene in Southwest Connecticut and Westchester County, New York, like Hersam Acorn. This is your all-access pass. Sit back and enjoy. I'm Rob Adams, and here are your hosts, Arts and Leisure editor Sally Sanders and our radio entertainment reporter Steve Coulter.
Hello everybody to a very special broadcast of Radio Arts and Leisure live from Stratford, Connecticut at the Two Roads Brewery. We've got some special guests with us today, Catherine Michaels and Dave Sigworth of the Maritime Aquarium. And as always, I'm joined with Sally Sanders. We're without Mark Schumann today, our film critic.
Sadly.
But we'll get to movies later. There's plenty to talk about at the Maritime. Dave, butterflies are in the air. Huge, big Flutter Zone exhibit at the Maritime this summer starts this Saturday, the 23rd. Is that correct?
That's correct. It's our big summer exhibit. You know, every year for the summer, that's our big visit time with all the recreational visitors. So we always offer something special for them. The last couple years, we had these beautiful tropical birds, these lorikeets, and we're using that same space this year to fill it with hundreds of exotic tropical butterflies that you can walk among. They'll flit among you. We don't really encourage interaction like we did so much with the lorikeets last year. You know, the butterflies are much more fragile, but if they may decide to land on you, and that's going to be the really exciting part of it.
And where did the idea of butterflies at the Maritime come from? You know, you don't think usually aquarium and butterfly exhibits. How did that kind of partnership
Some of it was because of the relationship we had with the folks who we worked with to have the lorikeets exhibit. This is the same company that is going to supply us with the butterflies, so we've had this standing relationship with them. And then we also have an IMAX movie opening tomorrow as well, which is called Flight of the Butterflies. So this gave us a chance to have sort of a 1-2 with butterflies for the summer.
And obviously the movie's about butterflies, but where does it take place? Is it here in North America? Or?
Well, somewhat. In North America, definitely, but it's all about, instead of all these exotic tropical butterflies like you'll encounter in the Flutter Zone, this is specifically focused on monarch butterflies, which have this amazing multi-generational migration down to Mexico. And it wasn't until recently that anyone even really knew where they all went. And so it sort of follows that migration, and also the scientists who finally figured it out by actually placing little tags on butterflies, which is amazing how you can actually tag a butterfly.
Yeah, tagging a butterfly, it's not like a bird or anything.
No, but they were able to do it, and that helped them figure out where they all go. And the movie recreates this scene where up in these mountains of Mexico, where they finally get up there and discover where literally millions, perhaps even close to 1 billion monarch butterflies would migrate to. And this is, again, so a butterfly from Fairfield County might start that migration, but doesn't make it the entire way, might make it a third of the way, lay eggs, have a next generation. That butterfly will continue the migration. So how they do that, people still don't really understand, but they're able to have a multi-generational migration to get down to a place that they've never been before. No one's telling them how to get there, and yet they're able to do it. And seriously, the scenes of this mountainside in Mexico, you think that it's almost computer generated, that there can't be that many butterflies in one place. The hillsides and the trees are just swarmed with all these monarch butterflies. It's pretty amazing.
And lots of different colors, I'm sure.
It is, and one of the things that we'll talk about in Flutter Zone is, we have a few monarchs in there along with all these other exotics, but monarchs have a problem right now. Their populations are significantly down, and some of it is because of milkweed. We think of milkweed as just a weed, and so we spray it, we get rid of it, but monarchs are very reliant on milkweed, and the fact that we have been pulling or spraying milkweed monarch populations have been reduced by upwards of 90%. And so part of Flutter Zone is we are going to have a little pollinators garden outside the exhibit, encouraging people to show them these are plants that not only butterflies but also birds and bees and other animals that we rely on for pollination can use, and we would encourage you to do that on your own properties as well.
It's really important for people to realize what milkweed is.
Exactly.
Know what it looks like, know what the young plants are so they don't rip it out before it even gets a chance to bloom.
Right, and there's even certain kinds of, it has to be specific kinds of milkweed for the monarchs, and there's also these other plants now that are showing up around our area called swallowwort, which can be confusing to monarch butterflies because they may lay their eggs on that instead, and the swallowwort is actually toxic to the...
They can't eat the
They cannot
greens.
eat that, in fact it kills them. So you have to kind of know what you're doing, and as you come to the aquarium, we'll try and educate you and send you home.
That's
You can
excellent.
we're going to have a little Flutter fun area as well in the room where the seals are, where you can make little butterfly hats and actually purchase little cups of milkweed to take home and plant to encourage you to support our native butterflies.
Sounds like a place to take grandchildren.
It's very fun, of course it
Yes.
is. There's always, and that's just of course one aspect of everything going on.
The movie's very topical because there was just an announcement by the president about the effort to increase areas of wild plantings to support not only the monarchs but the honeybees, which are in decline as well.
Exactly, right. The whole pollination is a huge issue because of the way that agriculture is working these days, and I don't want to get into
Politics.
all that genetically modified things lets them spray a little bit broader, and that may harm more things. But it's certainly something that needs to be talked about, and we should be aware of.
Now, you mentioned the educational aspect of it. Did you have to take a crash course on butterflies? I mean, when one thinks of the Maritime Aquarium, they think of seals and kind of sea animals. What did you know about butterflies going into this, and how much did you have to learn about them?
I knew a little bit, but I'm certainly learning a lot. And the butterflies have just arrived just in the last week, so we released like 500 of them or so the other day, and so I'm getting a little crash course. Not as much as our members of the animal husbandry staff who actually have to take care of them, but it's amazing to us that when we receive these shipments of butterflies, they come in a box, and they all come in little envelopes. And as soon as they are hatched out of their chrysalises, the company that supplies us with the butterflies takes them and puts them in envelopes, and then we get these little boxes full of envelopes, and out come 2 little butterflies out of every envelope.
That's
and
very labor intensive, isn't it?
It's amazing, but it's the safest way to transport them.
Really?
So, right. And
like paper envelopes,
they're almost like these little wax.
Like stamp envelopes.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
That's how they come, 2 to an envelope, and they're sort of chilled, so that sort of slows down their metabolism a little bit. So they're a little groggy when they come out of the envelope, and we're waiting for the weather to warm a little bit, but the warmer it is, the more likely they'll be flittering around as you go in the exhibit.
How long will they live?
Some of them are pretty short-lived, maybe only like a couple weeks. Some of them maybe a couple months. And
so you're replenishing.
We will, and so we actually have a pupae hut where you can actually see the chrysalises developing and butterflies coming out of them, and that will be continually being supplied, and that in turn then will continue to supply the exhibit with the butterflies. And the butterflies that you see if you came into the exhibit this Saturday may be different over the course of the summer, depending on what sort of chrysalises are available from the company that we're working with, which is that's a company called Spineless Wonders. And so so come back over the course of the summer, and you'll see different species of butterflies in the exhibit depending on what their hatch rate and their how their pupae are developing, I guess.
Well, we're joined today by Catherine Michaels, who's our etiquette columnist normally, but she had a question for Dave about another exhibit at the Maritime Aquarium that intrigued her recently.
I was just there a couple of months ago and loved the meerkats, but found them unusual in an aquarium.
So the meerkats, the story of the meerkats is that several years ago we had an Africa thing going. We had African penguins as a special exhibit, and we had a special exhibit showing the aquatic animals of Africa, because everyone knows there's giraffes and zebras, but no one knows the aquatic animals of Africa. So we were showing that, and through our connections we learned that a zoo in Utah had some newborn meerkats available, and we thought, well, we have this Africa thing going, and meerkats are cute, let's add those. And so they become very popular to the point, the penguins are long gone because that was just a temporary exhibit, and the other aquatic animals are gone because that was temporary, but everyone loves the meerkats, and I think there would be a huge revolt if we ever got rid of them because they're so popular. They're just so cute.
It's an extraordinary display because at the edges are lucite domes, so little children can go in the dome and then be at eye
Part of the
level with
village.
the meerkats.
Right, you can be part of their little, and they're very interesting. They're always active. They have a community operation where the 5 of them may be grazing, looking for food, or sleeping, and one of them is always on sentry duty, which is part of the way that they work in the wild, is to have someone always watching out for predators so the others can do their thing. And they have little chips and calls and stuff that let them know things are good, or warning signals and stuff too. So they're pretty amazing animals.
And you entertain them pretty well too, right?
We do.
You're always thinking of games for them.
We call them enrichments. Every day if you come in, someday there might be a hammock in there, someday there might be PVC pipe or branches, anything for them to get into, to explore, to keep busy. We do enrichments for the meerkats, the otters, and the octopus, actually, because the octopus actually needs things to keep busy with.
What do they need?
They're very smart, right?
They are pretty smart for a mollusk, for an invertebrate, right? So we offer them, like those big pretzel jars, those big, we take that jar without pretzels in it, and we may put the lid on, we may put a treat inside that, or we give it Mr. Potato Head with a treat inside it. Any sort of thing that has like texture or stuff that it can explore, has nooks and things.
And then he'll open it?
And they will work to open it, to get the lid off and get at the food.
That's
Same
amazing.
with Mr. Potato Head, Or, the Kong, there's a dog toy called a Kong.
Yes, yeah.
So we'll put food inside Kongs and let them figure that out.
So it's like a little game to get food.
Right, because because of their intelligence, they actually need enrichments like that, things to keep busy. Same with the otters. You see, unfortunately, you do go to the zoo sometimes, or places where there are animals where you just see that they've worn a path in the grass because all they're doing is what. And so animals do need that sort of engagement, enrichment to use their natural behaviors to keep their, to keep them straight.
Incredible.
It is fun.
Yeah.
So
We started talking about butterflies, and we're talking about octopuses.
all
And
kinds of things.
Yeah.
octopi, I should say. That's
octopi, right?
Yeah.
And I have to mention, one more thing. So tomorrow is Long Island Sound Day. Several years ago, the governor proclaimed that the Friday before Memorial Day is always Long Island Sound Day. So we encourage you to come. The aquarium is all about Long Island Sound, and we'll have some special educational programs for visitors tomorrow to talk about water quality, marine debris, and things like that. So
Very cool.
Special day about Happy Long Island Sound Day.
Happy
Well,
Long Island
thank you
Sound
in
Day.
advance. What else is going on this summer? You have children's camps. We
have summer camp. They have weekly programs. They start June 22nd. They run every week through mid-August, and these are for ages. Depends on the program. There's generally ages 6 to 8, 9 to 12. We do actually have a 3-week teen internship program or apprentice program for young teens this summer. Those go weekly. There's a discount if you're a member. Topics vary by junior marine biologist, shark safari. Every week the topic is different, so I encourage you to sign your kid up for maybe one or more program if you need places for your kids to go longer than just 1 week this summer. We also have our new research vessel. We'll start
that's right.
finally getting out into the water. We'll start running daily, not daily, but Wednesdays through Sundays, beginning July 1st. We'll take our new research vessel out. This is a hybrid
That's right. You mentioned that the last time you were in studio.
So we've been working sea trials, getting the staff trained for that. We're waiting for the summer season to start. And so we'll be going out, and we bring animals right up out of Long Island Sound right before your eyes. It's a great way to learn about the marine life in the Sound, that there is all sorts of animals. Even in this far west in Long Island Sound, there's lots of marine animals.
And how many people can get on the boat at one time?
We're saying probably about 40 or so. The number
Might vary.
Vary a little bit, but roughly about 40. This is it's a larger vessel because of the hybrid electric propulsion. It's quiet, so our educators won't have to yell over the diesel engine as we were underway like we've had with our previous research vessel.
Very cool.
And on June 4th, there's a Wine and Butterflies night.
Yeah, another chance to get, we usually close at 5. In the summer, we close at 6, but this is an after-hours event on Thursday, June 4th. It's a fundraiser for the aquarium to benefit our general fund, and it all takes place in the Flutter Zone exhibit. We have a support from a wine or a
Fairway, right?
Thank you.
Yep.
From Stanford, they'll support us with samples of fine wines from around the world. There'll be taste treats from some of the restaurants in South Norwalk. And all of it will be, you'll have butterflies flitting around you as you do it.
They're not going to fly into the wine, though, right?
Yeah.
Well, they'll maybe on your arm, not on the wine.
We discourage that. They're not. You have to be 21 and over.
You know what? It's a very cool thing to do. There was a butterfly room at the Philadelphia Flower Show this spring, And it was extraordinary. And they handed out Q-tips with sugar and water.
Right, yep, okay.
And you held it up, and the butterfly landed on it. So you got very close to the butterfly, and there were hundreds of them.
Yes.
And then leaving was like going reverse TSA, because you couldn't leave the room with a butterfly on you, and they had people at the door patting you down and brushing them off.
Right, so our exit, there are 2 doors. You go into sort of the lockdown area, and we actually have mirrors now.
So you can see.
So you can make sure that before you exit the actual exit door that you don't have a butterfly on your back.
There's no metal detector.
No metal detector, but it's and this isn't so much that we lose a butterfly or 2, but mainly because these would be considered invasive animals. These are not they ain't from around here, so we can't really have them getting loose into the environment in Norwalk. So it's actually a regulation that we can't really have them escaping out of the exhibit.
That would be interesting, yeah.
Right.
Another
Butterflies
invasive,
flying on the loose.
Right. So yes, and there's all sorts of problems with invasive species in the United States, and we don't want to be a cause of another concern. So.
Very
We're
good.
taking that
Well, Dave,
practice.
thank you so much for stopping by the brewery.
Yep.
Talking butterflies and wine and butterflies. That's an interesting combination.
Yeah.
It is.
Next year you'll have to do beers and butterflies.
And we could bring them here.
Wouldn't that be interesting? So it's maritimeaquarium.org.
Yes.
Or
and the butterfly exhibit's part of Free with Aquarium Admission. Same with the dragon exhibit that we have right now. We have
I forgot to ask you about the dragon exhibit.
So all these things, the Flutter Fun station that you'll see in the Great Hall, all of that is part of Aquarium Admission.
Are you going to be talking about the Komodo dragon?
We don't have Komodos, but we have the next largest, which is a water monitor lizard, and this one is specifically, it's black. It has a melanistic gene that instead of being albino, it's all black, which makes it, we think there's only about 30 of them in the country, and we have the only one that's on public display.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
I'll have to stop by for that. That's
pretty cool. It's got a blue...
That's more up my alley than the butterflies.
It has a blue forked tongue.
Oh, my God.
Yes, you got a great picture of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's amazing animals.
Awesome. Dave, thanks again for stopping by.
Always fun. Thanks.
Thank you.
And after the commercial break, we'll have Catherine Michaels on to talk about beer etiquette.
Franco's Wine Merchants in New Canaan carries a large selection of Two Roads beers, including the Olfactory Pilsner, Road to Ruin Double IPA, Rye 95, and Little Haven IPA. You can find Franco's online at francoswine.com. And, of course, come visit them in the store at 130 Elm Street in New Canaan. Call them, 203-966-9571. For the beers of Two Roads Brewing Company, it's Franco's Wine Merchants.
Alliance. We are an industry leader in coordinating transportation for large events such as corporate road shows, conferences, and special events. Our team of experts understands the dynamics and logistics of high-pressure situations and complex arrangements, all within a rapidly changing environment. Since 1999, we have added charter jets, event management, and personal protection to our range of services. Mention this ad for $25 off your next round-trip reservation. Alliance and you. Together, we can achieve the extraordinary. 855-546-6996 or alliancelimo.com.
The long winter is finally astern. Bait is invading the harbors, coves, and inlets. Stripers, fluke, and porgies are on the move. In the streams and lakes, trout, smallmouth, largemouth, and walleye have moved out of hibernation. At the dock shop, it's all systems go. And now in 2 locations, 51 Tokenique Road, Darien, and their newest location at 609 Riverside Avenue in Westport. Bait, tackle, apparel, and of course, all the marine and nautical accessories that they're known for are ready for you at the dock shop. Boater, beach bum, fisherman, or simply love the New England coast, this is a unique place to shop. The Dock Shop, 51 Tokenique Road, Darien, 609 Riverside Avenue, Westport. Visit us at dockshop.com.
Healthy, confident smiles begin at Stratford Orthodontics. Conveniently located on Main Street, we are Stratford's hometown orthodontist. We offer the latest in orthodontic technology, including Damon braces and Invisalign. We always accept new patients. Call today to schedule a complimentary consultation. 203-375-8332. Stratford Orthodontics, 2499 Main Street, Stratford. 203-375-8332 or online at stratfordsmile.com.
You're listening to Hersam Acorn Radio.
We're back live from Two Roads Brewery here in Stratford, Connecticut. Catherine Michaels, our etiquette columnist. Last week we talked about eating different types of food, and we've done food a lot, but we haven't really done beverages. And seeing that we're here at a brewery, it's perfect time to talk about beer drinking etiquette and what you would do at a bar in terms of ordering a beer. And I know Sally's been fielding questions now for over a week about what do you do exactly when you get into a bar and you really are thirsty?
Is it okay to ask the bartender for a recommendation? That would be the first one. If you just slide in and you don't know what you want, can you say, what do you got?
If the bar is busy, not a good idea. The
Okay.
bartender doesn't have time to read off a list, or he has no idea what kind of beer you might like. So it's better to go in knowing what you want and order it by name and make it be a speedy process. If it's not crowded, sure.
Sure.
What if you're eating dinner and you want to like sample one?
It's not really good for him to ask for samples.
Sure.
You know, there are restaurants and bars that have sample menus. You can get 4 different beers brought to you in, smaller glasses.
Actually,
Right,
at
the
Two
flights.
Roads,
Yeah, we
they
can do
offer
that
the
here
beer.
at Two Roads.
Yeah.
Yeah. Eric's holding one up right now.
And that's a great way to discover something new that you
Right.
might like. But
Expand your
it's not
tastes.
like going into Baskin Robbins and saying, gee, what does the coconut ice cream taste like, and getting a little spoonful. Yeah, you have to pay for what you ask for. So
Right.
not good to ask for samples, not good to ask for a free drink. It's okay, you might get one on the house, that's fine, but you can't ask for it.
Yeah, I know there was a question about asking one on the house, or how is it exactly worded? Do you ask for one on the house? or?
No, that would be something that's offered to you. I don't think you would ever ask.
Never.
No. But I was thinking about the beer question coming into a bar and it's crowded. Read the taps.
Where what?
Read the taps.
Oh, yeah.
See what they have. You can
Right.
tell.
You
Or
can
often
tell.
they'll post it on the wall. And if you have a specific question, usually they'll give you a quick answer like, is that very hoppy?
Right.
And some people don't like hoppy beer. So
Unhappy? Is that hoppy? And the other thing is, definitely don't just say, I'll have a beer. Sally introduced me. I thought she was talking about Michael Jackson, singer and dancer. She was talking about Michael Jackson,
Yeah, there's a
beer
beer
and
critic,
spirits
yeah.
critic.
Yeah.
And he once said, you don't ever go into a restaurant and say, I'll have a plate of food,
Right.
right? So you don't go into a bar and say, I'll have a beer.
Yeah.
You have to be very specific. I think it's one of those things where when people go, they don't really take into account that there's a bartender there, and he has a very difficult job of managing 20 different people's orders. He doesn't have time to tell you the 14 beers that are on tap and
doesn't.
where each one came from and how they taste. So it's one of those things where you're right. You have to know what you want, and you can't expect him to rattle off all the beers that he has on tap for you, unless it's just you and him
Well,
having a nice one-on-one session.
If you're having dinner at a table and you want wine and the sommelier comes over
Sure.
and you say we're having steak and lobster.
What goes well with what?
That's his job, is to take the time and give you a personal consultation. Like you said, a bartender just doesn't have that kind of time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So speaking of busy bartenders, you come into a busy bar. What's the best way to get the attention of a bartender?
Whistle. No, I'm just I'm kidding.
The worst way is to say, hey, buddy, hey, chief, wave money, wave your hand.
Yeah, I've done that before.
Yeah.
I'm recently fresh out of college though, so you have to forgive me.
Well, and it depends on the bar, too.
Right.
But generally, the best way to do that is to find the bartender, get up in front of him and say, when you have a minute, I'm at the other end of the bar.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you don't want to stand on anything. You don't want to prop yourself up. And I've seen that. I've seen people hey, over the bar, lunging.
Well, Steve, you're tall enough, they must notice you.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah. I actually honestly just let if I'm with a girl, I always just give her my money and just you order, because they always get it quicker. That's the truth. There's no way to get a quicker drink than
have a pretty
take
girl
my
on your
credit
arm,
card
yeah.
and order the beer for me, and I'll sit back because they're going to be slower with me. I don't know.
There you
one
go.
of those things.
Well, okay, so we've got someone who's at a bar now, and he's about to get the bartender's attention, and he's with a group of friends, and he feels like he really knows beer, and he just as soon order for everyone and let them enjoy the benefits of his wisdom. Good idea?
Oh, not a good idea.
Another no-no.
These are all no's today.
Yeah, seriously, you're usually very affirmative.
Not a good idea. People have the right to their own opinion. And if somebody loves Coors Light and you have a more sophisticated taste, let them enjoy what they like, unless they ask you. If somebody says, what do you recommend? By all means recommend, but don't just start opining because...
So it's bad etiquette to knock someone for drinking a cheap beer?
It is.
I'm going to remember that one
Well,
for next time I'm out.
It's bad etiquette to knock someone for their personal choice,
Yeah.
whatever it might be.
This is true.
Yeah.
We live in a free country. We can
do.
have decisions.
But
That's right.
But also you can offer. You can say you might, if you like a light beer, you might enjoy this or you might enjoy that.
But not to change their order.
No, just
if they asked you, you could
Now,
definitely
I have
do
a
that.
question here because coming from the young male perspective, what's the proper etiquette when your friends are making fun of you for ordering like the IPA beer when they're ordering the cheap beer and they're saying, "Oh, you're smug for getting the IPA. Why don't you just get the Coors Light?" What do I say? Or do I not order the IPA? Do I just get the Coors Light and drink the Coors Light with them? Or?
The reverse is the same.
It's okay.
A free
It's a
country
two-way
and
street.
That's
All
right.
Yeah.
I can feel free to be a smug beer person.
Absolutely. Just not to impose it on anybody
I can't
else.
order it for them.
No.
Gotcha. I never do. I think that's rude. That's why we're talking etiquette.
Yeah.
Okay, well, here's another good one for you and your friends.
This is turning into like a Steve's
Well,
learning the segments.
Steve in a bar. Rounds. Buying rounds. Someone stands for the first round, you stand for the second round. What if you can't keep up with the group? How does that work?
That's always a little tricky. It's better if it's not too awkward to establish ahead of time if you're going to be drinking on a rounds basis. If you can't do it or somebody can't do this either financially or they don't drink that fast or they're having lemonade, they can just say, count me out. It's fine to do that. Everybody doesn't have to be included. And if the night's wearing on and there have been 3 rounds bought and you've got to go home, and catch up with them.
No. Now here's a
Bartenders don't love running up one beer on a credit card.
Sure.
Takes a lot of time.
Sure.
Also, if you can, it's better to tip in cash because they either, depending on the establishment, they either have to wait a week to get their tip or it's all has to be negotiated at the end of the night.
So bring a little bit of cash is another pointer.
It's a nice thing to do.
Yeah.
Just to lay on the bar. And that's the final question. What's the expected tip for a drink, a beer?
Yeah, that's a great question. My God. I struggle with that so much.
For a beer, no less than $1.
Yeah.
Even if you're there at happy hour and the beer's $2, you still tip $1.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't tip 40 cents, doing a 20% thing, just tip $1. If you're buying, a huge fancy drink with a parasol and toothpicks with chunks of fruit on it or whatever.
Pineapple.
Yeah, that's going to cost a little more. You're going to tip more than $1. Otherwise, if you're running a tab or you have a few drinks and then the bartender rings you up, 18 to 20% like anything else.
And I actually have one more question.
Good.
A bad beer, like a bad plate of food or a beer that you don't like, someone bought for you, what's the proper etiquette about getting a new beer or not drinking it?
If somebody is buying you a drink,
and you don't like the taste of the drink,
you drink what they buy you.
Even though you don't?
Or you don't drink it.
Okay.
Okay?
So it's not that rude to leave it on the table?
No. I mean, if you don't like it, you don't like it. But it's rude to refuse it or to say, I don't want that or whatever. Ideally, someone says, let me buy you a drink. What are you having?
Okay.
And you can pick your own.
I think that's the problem that a lot of people run into because it's like I'm buying the rounds and then it's just like, here are the 4 Coors Lights. And it's like, well, I'm not drinking Coors Light. I'm drinking, Two Roads.
Right.
Why didn't you get me a Two Roads? That's what I've been drinking all night.
Right, and they should notice that. I mean, really, that's their error. But if that's what they bring you, you can take a sip and leave it on the table. You don't have to feel obliged to finish it.
And then I'll just come back to this brewery and I'll get my Two Roads.
That's right.
Yes, you will.
I'll get my
Yes, you
fill.
will. So that kind of wraps it for beer
Yeah, that's
etiquette.
great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Catherine, as
Well,
always.
thank
It was
you.
very informative. I'm going to take these lessons and apply them in real life, in
Good.
real time. At a bar, I won't be waving my money anymore. I can assure you of that.
Or whistling.
No, I never whistle.
No whistling?
I know better than that. My mom raised me better than that to whistle at a bartender. And on that note, we'll head off to our second commercial break. Catherine, as always, thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you next Friday.
Well, actually, we're going to keep Catherine
Oh, we're going to keep Catherine on for George Clooney.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
we'll
boy.
talk about
Okay.
Disney's Tomorrowland after the break.
Your child has fallen and broken his arm. You need to see an orthopedist fast. Think Coastal Ortho Express in Norwalk. Don't wait hours in the ER. Save a trip and money by going straight to an orthopedic specialist at Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care in Norwalk. No appointment necessary. Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care, 203-845-2070. Open Monday through Saturday in the iPark building at 761 Main Avenue in Norwalk, or call 203-845-2070. Fast.
It's Lots of Characters, specializing in children's birthday parties with your child's favorite characters. When you want to party hardy, when you need to celebrate, call us, we won't be late. We help create lasting memories for you and your child on their special day. Call us at 203-590-1791 or visit our website at lotsofcharacters.org for more information and to see our party packages. Lots of Characters, 203-590-1791 or online at lotsofcharacters.org.
Now you can keep up with what's happening in Darien with the convenience of the Darien Times Online. Your choice. Print or digital subscription for just $45 a year. Or get the print and digital bundle for just $10 more, $55 a year. To subscribe to the Darien Times, go to hersamsecure.com/CIRC or call the circulation department at 203-894-3388. The Darien Times, now in print and online. Don't miss a single issue. Subscribe today.
It's easy to advertise on HANradio.com. Reach 263,000 listeners each month with our sports programming and talk programming. Call Marianne Hersam at 203-417-5199.
Hersam Acorn and HANradio.com.
Mr. Versatility, George Clooney, is out with a new movie on Friday, and we're here to talk about Disney's Tomorrowland. What are you guys hearing about this movie? What do you know so far, and what are your thoughts on George Clooney's overall career?
Well, George Clooney, what I've read about this film is that it's kind of meh. It's a family film.
I've heard it's very optimistic, very Disney in that regard.
Well, it's things work out in the end kind of film with an environmental component and a world in danger component.
It wouldn't be George Clooney without a little bit of a world component to it. He's Mr. Political Activist as well as being versatile on the screen.
Well, and in this one, he's doing his cranky older father figure kind of guy.
Right.
Somebody described it as Interstellar Junior.
Oh, he's like an aged Matthew McConaughey from Interstellar?
Well, he's
company that brings you half a dozen animated movies every year, and they're trying to do live action. They did Tron Legacy with Jeff Bridges a couple years ago, and it's a very weird venture for the company, and I just wonder how George Clooney fits into what's their motive here? Why is George Clooney and Disney all of a sudden a team? They've never worked together in the past. That's my big question.
It's a good question. Although there's what I've read, and it's very little, is that the effects are really extraordinary.
Yeah.
That even if it is meh, that it's worth it for the effects. And maybe after doing Gravity, he's into special effects and
he's
futuristic kinds
he's
of
trying to
things.
stay in the sci-fi genre.
Yeah, but I think that Disney really has always had an emphasis on science and tomorrow. I mean, Tomorrowland is an actual, and the Epcot Center in
so
Florida.
maybe it is more of a natural fit than I'm giving it credit for.
Yeah, I think it is. I think it is. I think Walt Disney really had that belief in science and tomorrow and things would be better.
Didn't he cyber freeze himself to come back tomorrow or whatever? I mean, I think he was there. Yeah,
he was ahead of the curve, so to speak, with the science.
Yeah. So I think it'll be a fun movie to see, and with any luck, I think it's in IMAX as well, so it may eventually show up at the Maritime Aquarium Theater.
There you go. Plug.
Yeah. Well, certainly you can see the butterflies and George Clooney. What could be better?
And so we had to start. With the now, but let's go all the way back to the beginning of his career. George Clooney started on television. Roseanne was the start, and then
Roseanne before that.
Yeah, he was on Roseanne.
He was her nasty boss.
Yeah. First season. And then he did ER for 5 years. He went from ER, within 10 years, he was on Time Magazine's top 100 most influential people in the world. Has anybody ever achieved such a path? It's so unique. You really can't have a comparison.
No, and he's got the brains and the charm and just the good luck, I think, maybe.
That's when I was doing the Mark Schumann breakdown for what is it about George Clooney, and obviously he's charismatic and charming. But really, it is just good luck. Hollywood needed a star, and they found him in TV.
He also comes from he had connections. His aunt was
Rosemary Clooney.
Who was married to Jose Ferrer, whose children are all actors, or a number of them are. So he had a sort of an in with the business.
But he has set some extraordinary standards. I think he is the only person to have been nominated for 6 categories.
6 different categories at the Academy Awards. Right. He has Best Director, Best Picture, which he actually got for Argo, which was a win. Best Actor, and then Best Supporting Actor, which he won for with Syriana. And then he did Best Adapted Screenplay for...
The Descendants?
No, it was Good Night and Good Luck, I think. And then original screenplay was Ides of March.
Oh no, he had a fight with the Writers Guild about the Good Night and Good Luck.
I'm sure he did.
Yeah, they wouldn't give him writing credit on that, and he quit the guild.
Oh really?
Yes, this is one of my little Clooney factoids.
Yeah, I was going to say you have a bunch of them, and we have a clip actually from Michael Clayton, which is what he was nominated for in 2007. One of my personal favorites, where he one's this thing it's the best.
I know what you did to Arthur.
It's protected. It belongs to you, North.
I know you killed him.
It's a cut and dry case of attorney-client
See,
privilege.
now that's just not the way to go here, Karen. For such a smart person, you really are lost, aren't you?
This conversation is over.
I'm not the guy that you kill. I'm the guy that you buy. Are you so fucking blind you don't even see what I am?
Whoops, that was my bad. John's giving. I didn't know that. That's seen my fault. Well, anyways, it is a great scene, and Tilda Swinton went on to win the Academy Award.
Oh, she was magnificent in that too.
I think Tom Wilkinson should have won for supporting that year too. He ran into a.
Who
it was Javier Bardem for No Country for
well, that was pretty good too.
Yeah, there was no chance he was going to win that year, but he was very, very good as well. And I thought that was Clooney at his best. What are some of the movies that you guys like him in?
Well, Clooney can be at his best in so many different ways.
Yeah. He was so great in Gravity too, and it was just like such a laid
brother,
back.
we're out there.
Yeah.
Who would have pictured him with the brilliantine hair and the mustache and just hanging out with a bunch of yokels? That was just the best.
Southern Odysseus.
Yeah, it was wonderful.
There was just something about that movie and him in it and the way he portrayed so much emotion without being emotional. It's something he can do with his face. I don't know if it's his facial muscles or his eyes or his voice. But
it's a little bit of I think his voice is definitely one of those underrated characteristics about him. It's just like raspy, and like in that scene he's just like, I'm not the guy. There's something about his voice, I think I'm glad you mentioned that's one of the
just the way he modulates it.
Right.
He controls it. He knows how to use it. And I also loved Up in the Air.
Yeah, we actually have a clip from Up in the Air as well with J.K. Simmons, another Academy Award winner.
And one of our favorites.
Yeah. Anna Kendrick was also nominated in this movie. And you look through his career on IMDb and you see movie after movie, the people that are playing off of him are the ones that are getting the nominations. I mean, he's been nominated, of course.
But he's working with great people, too. Anna Kendrick is awesome as well.
And that was the beginning of her career. We'll play that right now. Hopefully without any curse words.
Yeah, it was. Doubt they ever admired you.
Hey, asshole, aren't you supposed to be consoling?
Oops. That was my bad again. I'm bad. George Clooney needs to clean up his language. I'm blaming him on this one.
It is totally his fault. You had nothing to do with this.
Yeah, that was my fault again. I'm sorry. Catherine's like, it is George Clooney's fault, Steve. Don't beat yourself up over it.
The one I did not like was The American.
You know, it's interesting you brought that up. For a guy who's been in so many movies that I've liked, there's been equally as many movies that I have not liked. Like Monuments Men, did you guys see that last year?
Yeah, I liked it just for the interest of the story, I think, more than for any of the acting in it.
Yeah.
It was an interesting piece to me, and that's why I watched it, but he wasn't.
I just thought it could have been so much better. I thought he left so much untapped potential. Did you see it, Catherine?
I did not.
Yeah, it was just like he's got Bill Murray and Matt Damon and John Goodman, and it's just like, how could you miss with that? He's got such a great cast and a good story, and
I was thinking about how he's grown as an actor, because I watched ER from day one, and he used to annoy me because he had a certain prescribed number of ways he would move or faces that he would make, and you would just go, oh, come on, you can do better than this. And as his career has progressed, he's certainly developed a much more subtle style of acting, I think.
Yeah, he is very subtle. It's very controlled. He never is doing the whole like crying or over dramatic, which you see from some of his peers is like their go-to thing. The Leonardo DiCaprio with the scrunched face, but George Clooney never really kind of breaks down and loses it like that.
But yet, that's how he's feeling by something he's doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and The Descendants, that's probably
no histrionics.
Right.
Just, you could tell.
Yeah, I don't even know if he cries in it necessarily.
No,
There's just so many scenes.
I don't think he ever does.
Yeah.
But he can also do screwball just wonderfully. I'm trying to remember the name of the film with Brad Pitt where they find the disc from the CIA.
Oh, I love that movie, Burn After Reading.
Yeah, Burn After Reading.
And
it's just like the totally most goofy film you've ever seen.
It's a movie about nothing. It's like the Seinfeld of movies. It's literally about nothing, but it's so enjoyable. It's just so great.
And he's just goofy in it. And
he's like, I gotta go for a run.
And Oceans 11, 12, 13.
Right.
I mean, they're slick. They're everything, but
they're everything that's been his career, just very well done.
They're loads of fun, and he's really good in it.
Right.
And he's playing with great people. I think that maybe that's the key to his career. He always plays with great people.
He knows how to align himself with the right stars.
I mean,
at the right time.
Even going back to ER, Juliana Margulies was just a perfect foil to him, and she's gone on to a really solid career in television, not so much film.
He did Mark Wahlberg. He had Three Kings and The Perfect Storm with Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah.
And then he did the Brad Pitt thing with Ocean's 11. He's been with Steven Soderbergh for 5 different films. He's done the Coen brothers 3 different times.
Oh, The Men Who Stare at Goats.
Yeah, that was one I didn't like that one.
You didn't like it? I love that film.
Have
you
Jeff
seen that?
Bridges.
I didn't see that, no.
It's interesting. He does have ones that have missed for me. I mean, I'm happy that you liked it.
I just thought it was so goofy and fun.
Yeah, he does do goofy well, though. There's no doubt there.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of some other people that Quentin Tarantino was the first big picture that he did, From Dusk Till Dawn. That one was, again, not my favorite movie of his, though. It's kind of too much chaos and bloodshed, but I mean...
Yeah, well, Quentin Tarantino.
That is Quentin Tarantino to a T. No, I mean, I love Tarantino, but that one's not my favorite. And then there's Syriana, which he won the Academy Award for. A very great performance. You could tell that he really left it all on the table for that one. Mm-hmm. Matt Damon is somebody that he's worked with a lot, too, and that he works with Matt Damon in that one as well.
Yeah, they have a good chemistry. There's a great story about Three Kings and David O. Russell.
Oh, David O. Russell, that's right.
Did you read that?
No, let's hear it.
David O. Russell apparently doesn't treat staff very well.
Yeah.
And the pressure was building. They were running over on time and budget, and so he was taken to screaming at people and abusing them on set in front of everyone. And Clooney said that he'd written him a note and said, this is really unacceptable. You can't treat people this way. If you want to fire them for malfeasance, fire them, but don't humiliate them in front of everybody. And he did it again, and Clooney reminded him that this was bad. And finally he did it again. And Clooney got in his face, and David O. Russell, I think, headbutted him. And anyway, they had a knockdown drag out on the set in front of everyone because Clooney wouldn't let him abuse.
I did not know that story. That's
it's
so
a great story, but it's so George Clooney. It's just like what you think of him doing. He's like...
Fire them if you want to fire them, but don't...
Yeah, but whatever role he plays, whatever public event he takes part in, it's always as sort of righteous man. You can't think of him as like being the villain.
Right.
You know? I don't know if he could do that. Do you think he could?
I would love to see him try.
Yeah.
I'm
mean, the
I'm all for
American
George.
probably came closest.
Right.
Well, he was sort of villainous and up in the air. I mean, he's going around firing all those people.
Yeah. Yeah, and just worrying about his miles card.
His miles card. There is a scene in that. That's the
That
one
was the best.
That's the one I should have actually pulled up. Is when he's like, "It's all about the miles, the points on the card."
You got this one. You got this one. You got this one.
Hindsight is 20/20. You're right, John. We would be missing it if we didn't talk about his political activism. He's been all over the world since he's became a movie star. Haiti. He was in the Philippines.
Darfur.
Yeah, he's
That's
been
one
everywhere.
of his biggest.
Advising President Obama.
Right. Do we see him going into politics, especially if Tomorrowland doesn't do well at the box office tomorrow?
I think he sincerely cares about. He's not just doing this for for the headlines. I think he really cares. I don't know.
I saw a quote from him. He said, "I've had too many girlfriends and done too many drugs to run for office."
Oh,
well, that's an honest
there you go.
statement. But
Yeah.
he doesn't wear makeup and he does his own hair. Come
Yeah,
on,
I know.
He's got attributes that are admirable.
I just love that he cuts his own hair.
I didn't know that either.
Well, he alleges that he does. I don't know. I mean, you looked at, to get down to People magazine level, but you looked at his wedding, and there was so much thought given to style at that whole event.
Right. We
That
could
you-
talk
that
about
it
it. We
makes
could
you
talk about
wonder.
his women in a whole other show. I
Yeah,
mean,
no,
he's
we
had
don't-
a
I don't-
long string of
We don't need to go with
girlfriends.
that. Yeah.
A long string of girlfriends, and now he's finally married, which is good for him, I guess, after a long.
I sure hope so.
2 decades of
not
playing the field.
Takes some people a long time to settle down.
Now I don't know. I missed this while I was doing my research. He's 55?
51.
51.
Yeah.
So he still has like a nice chunk of his career left.
Well, judging by the films we've been talking about lately, I mean, we're seeing a lot of actors continuing. Christopher Plummer, Morgan Freeman. He's got decades to go.
I think George Clooney. It's weird that he's doing this Tomorrowland movie because it's about the future and it's all optimistic. It's like, I really want to know what's coming with George Clooney in the future, and I think this is kind of the perfect junction in his career if he doesn't want to do movies anymore, to maybe get into politics.
Well, or direct more, produce more.
That's true.
I mean,
we haven't even talked about Good Night and Good Luck.
Well,
my favorite George Clooney movie.
It's a beautiful film.
Yeah.
He did just a gorgeous job with it. I mean, visually it's wonderful, and the actors he found were, I don't know how much responsibility he takes for actually casting it, but I would assume that the producer has a big say in that.
He's yet to match that movie since. He did Leatherheads, which was not very good, and he did The Ides of March, which I thought was a misfire. Did you see that or not?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's got Paul Giamatti, he's got Philip Seymour Hoffman in that, and Ryan Gosling, and it just wasn't there was something missing from it.
I didn't see that one, actually.
Yeah, it wasn't as good as Good Night and Good Luck.
No.
It was weird that his first effort behind the camera, actually it was his second, I should say.
Yeah.
That was his best.
Got to start somewhere.
Got to start somewhere. And on that note, I think we'll wrap it up. And we want to thank Two Roads Brewery for hosting us. Catherine, thanks so much for driving up the road. And
it was a big trip, but I'm happy to be here.
You logged a lot of
Thank
miles
you.
today. And we'll head off into the weekend. Everybody have a great Memorial Day and take care. Drive safe.
Thank you.